I'm a little late. I hope that this is working. I'm Wesley Shantz, and I'm here to talk a little bit about Signum Academy on Signum University. This is a project that we have been working on at Signum for a few years now, and it's taken a few different forms, which I kind of wanted to walk through a few of them here in our first session. For me, this started a couple of years ago as a summer camp that I was working on with a few other people at Signum University. And we put together a series of live sessions on some of our favorite books. The Hobbit, of course, by J.R.R. Tolkien. I wonder, oh no, let's see. Let's try that. I'm worried now that my audio isn't working. Let's see what happens if we go here. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. There I am, but
Yeah, oh, that's cool.
oh, the audio is working.
There I am, but yeah,
The
oh,
volume
that's
is
cool.
oh, the audio is
There I am, but yeah,
the
oh,
volume
that's
is
cool.
This is my first time.
Oh, the audio is there I am, but yeah, oh, that's cool. Oh, the audio is there I am, but yeah, oh, that's cool. Oh, the audio is there I am, but yeah, oh, that's cool. Oh, the audio is there I am, but yeah, oh, that's cool. Oh, the audio is there I am, but yeah, oh, that's cool. Oh, the audio is there I am, but yeah, oh, that's cool. Oh, the audio is there I am, but yeah, oh, that's cool. Oh, the audio is there I am, but
I wanted to show a little bit about where we have been in the past and a little bit about what we want it to look like in the future. So if you guys search for Signum Academy, it looks like it looks like, yeah. I hope that's better. Cool. Let me know if that helps at all. Whoa. So if you just search for Signum Academy, you'll come up with a few different things. Of all of the ones that Google throws at you, the one that I'm talking about is through Signum University. So if you go signumuniversity.org and Academy, that's the one that we're gonna talk about here. So let's do display. Now let's see if that shows up for you guys. The Academy website, you can find it through Signum University. In the top, it's one of the drop-down menus up here at the very top, Signum Academy. and that is our programming for kids and for anybody who's part of a reading group, homeschool, a after school program. We want to make material that is available to reach a number of different levels. So, not at the graduate school level like the Signum University, um, not at the sort of adult education level like the Mythgard programming, um, but something along those lines that's accessible to kids. And again, we want to make this available to people who are just starting to read J.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, and as well, we want to offer some things that will challenge anyone who has worked with these texts before. So, I'm at the Signum Academy page here. I hope this is showing up for you. I'm not sure if it's showing up for me. Um, in the summer camp programs that we did, we worked on deep dives of individual books, um, starting with The Hobbit and the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the first Harry Potter, and Madeline L'Engle's Wrinkle in Time. Those materials are all part of the resources that you can find on the website under our past resources, right? So our past library. Those are all linked here, and you can find them on our YouTube channel also. That's, again, the summer camp programs that were hour-long sessions covering portions of each of these books, and taken together, you had 10 hours of programming that covered the entire book. So if you're the sort of person who loves reading and discussing in that kind of depth, those are for you. Now, we found our feedback was from some of our participants that was a little bit too much or not what they were looking for, and that is totally understandable. If you want to find just a few activities to choose from, that is what we're calling the bits and bytes. And those are selections of some of what we think are the most interesting and the best portions of those summer camps. So to request those materials, just send us an email, or you can fill out a quick form that we have linked here, and we'll send that along to you. It has activities that go with specific portions of each of the books, games that you can play, and ways that you can get involved with this creatively. Now, part of that, we had some other ideas thrown out that it would be way cool to produce a choose your own adventure version. So there is a great program out there called Choice Script that I've been playing with a little bit. And it is a pretty easy program, essentially, to create your own choose your own adventure story. So at their website, they host a number of games for different levels of readers, and they also offer you these templates to get started making your own game. Like I said, I tried it out over the summer, created a first few scenes of a game that I'd be happy to share with you. It basically follows the sort of the structure of an adventure story that draws on pieces of information from each of our main texts from The Hobbit, from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and A Wrinkle in Time. And you don't have to have read the books to play the game. It just offers a different level of intention if you have in mind some of the story and some of the events from those books. As you're playing along in that, it will track for you different statistics, and it can get really pretty complicated. I just started with a few really basic ones, which would just show you which of the books you were more closely in sync with as you're going through your first few scenes. So that's just the start of a kind of a game that we wanted to bring out these different aspects of these books. And if you're working with a group, the idea was that there could be branching paths for different people, and you guys could compare. At this point, the game is pretty short, so it's easy to play through the different paths just by yourself too. Now, those kinds of choose-your-own-adventure stories are along the lines of the kinds of activities that we had before, but this just is finding a different kind of medium for it. Now, back on our website, we've got a few other different levels, different kinds of options to help people access this material. So the first of those is the Blizzard Bag, and that would be a really short, sort of one-off activity day, something that you could use if you're snowed in, if you're not able to go out and play, if you just need something to kind of keep you cozy indoors for a little while. And the first of those that we're working on right now is going to be on a version of the Robin Hood story. So that is in the works. If you have other books that you'd like us to discuss and other short stories that would be appropriate for that sort of thing, again, please send us an email. This was something that came up a lot when we started the summer camps, offering additional courses and offering other stories. What we're planning to do is continue with the sequels to each of these 4 books that we've already got discussions about. So the plan for now is to build on these 4 authors before we branch out to some other ones in the future. The sequels to The Hobbit, of course, are a little bit different in scope. They are much longer, for one thing, and the themes that they deal with, while similar, tend to be a little bit heavier and a little bit more complex. So if you are interested in pursuing Tolkien's work, that's the first of our authors that we're going to focus on in the next month. We'll talk a bit about the Fellowship of the Ring and how it begins in the same kind of world as The Hobbit before starting to go in a different direction. The following month, so that will be February and then March, we'll be talking about C.S. Lewis's sequel, Prince Caspian. So we're kind of jumping from one author to another to build out on what we've got so far. So all of this is listed for you back on the home page, just down here. So the introduction is taking place this month. Next month we'll focus on Fellowship of the Ring. and where Tolkien is going with that. Um, the following month, Prince Caspian, which is one of the sequels to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Um, not the only one. And part of that discussion will involve talking about some of the different orders that you can take as you're going through the Narnia books. This is actually one of those debates that has been controversial at times among fans of C.S. Lewis. He's great for stirring up great arguments and discussions. So that'll be starting in the spring, followed up with some of what Madeleine L'Engle is up to in her sequels to A Wrinkle in Time, and the way that she structures the rest of her story and how they sort of fit together. There's some really interesting things that she does in each of the sequels that play on the events of the original book. So that brings us into May. For J.K. Rowling, one of the interesting things about the sequels to Harry Potter is how, as Harry grows, a year older in each text, so the themes, the conflicts, and the sort of lessons that are appropriate for each of those books similarly will grow with the reader. So our experience of these books is reflected by the story that we're reading in a pretty cool way. So we'll look at some examples of that in the Chamber of Secrets, the second of the Harry Potter books. And that brings us into the summer again. So again, our initial plans for Signum Academy were to create kind of open online discussions in a live interactive setting, which could take place when people had a lot of time to read, which is the summer for most people. That's something that we want to continue with in a way that is, again, accessible and helpful for people out there. We want to build on the awesome discussions that we've done and continue to grow the community of readers of these great books. So we're going to talk about a few different directions that can go. Besides discussions and games and creative activities, there's also a whole world of other kinds of uses that these stories can get applied to. And that's what I'm trying to cover with this idea of adaptation. Taking the story and telling it in a different way, and maybe telling it with some different goals in mind. The biggest example of those is the movies that are based on these books, which have brought a huge new audience back to some of these authors. Particularly, I think that's the case for Tolkien. Now, there was a recent Wrinkle in Time film. Obviously, the Harry Potter movies were huge and continue to spawn other kinds of sequels or prequels taking place in the wizarding world. There are some movies of Narnia which have some good scenes in them. I'm given to understand. I haven't watched them yet myself, so I can't really speak to those. But that's the idea of adaptation. And again, this leads to some big discussions once in a while. People have some strong feelings about the different kinds of things that get done with these movies. All right, I'm going to pop back over to Twitch here. Oh gosh. And see what's going on here. really hope that this hasn't been what's been displaying. I really hope it's been the, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to work on that. Let me mute myself for a second here. Yeah, I think that's, okay. Let's try that. So, yeah, there we are. 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 Yeah. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm trying to bring it up on a different computer, but it's not behaving for me. All right. Well, anyway, enough of that. Enough technological discussion for one day. I'm just gonna keep going and hope that it works for you guys. Because I really wanted to get to, right, to show you the overview for what we're doing here, some of the things that are coming up, and the kinds of discussions that we want to have with our community of readers. The young readers out there who love these books have great insights into them. Definitely want to hear from you. Please share them with us through the Signum Academy contacts pages that we have there, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. The kinds of discussions that we want to have are going to be kind of linked to these great original and perennial stories, right? These stories that you can tell over and over, that never get old, that you always find something new in. And that idea of being able to start fresh in, a new generation, or just each time that you pick up these books at different times in your life, finding something totally new in them is where I kind of wanted to start the discussion this time. So, in the story The Hobbit, this new setting out of on an adventure is really the main starting point for what becomes an entire world of different people, different cultures, different sorts of conflict, and different friendships that grow. All of the things that are parts of a great community, right? The diversity that you see in the characters in that story is incredible. The different parts of the world that they travel through, and again, the different goals that each of those characters has for their journey. Some of that doesn't become really clear until Tolkien tells the rest of the story in The Lord of the Rings. Now, the idea of that adventure and where it begins, there's a few different ways you can look at that. In Tolkien's case, he is a scholar of languages above all. This is, what we have now and call English class. We don't often really discuss the language itself that much, but Tolkien was a scholar of English and the languages that it comes out of. Old English, Old Norse. He studied Latin and Greek, and plenty of living languages too that are all related to one another, either more distantly or more closely. So that kind of difference and that kind of community of language and culture was really at the the beginning of Tolkien's story writing. As an author, uh, he and as a teacher, the story goes that he started writing what became The Hobbit on the back of an exam, like some student's test that he had to grade. He turned it over, found a blank page, and just started writing, "In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit." Um, that's the story he tells about how the hobbit came to him. Now, um, in the beginning of the adventure, Bilbo is perfectly content to stay just in his little corner of the Shire. Well, at that point, it's not called that. We get that name later. But his cozy hobbit hole, his comfortable lifestyle, and he's only shaken out of that by the arrival of the wizard, Gandalf. First, followed by all of the dwarves, and the 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 call that he has, that comes to him in their song, that awakens in him the desire to go on this adventure, is the kind of thing that we're hoping these books provide for young readers. The Chronicles of Narnia, we have a similar kind of beginning, in the everyday world, the comfortable world of a big old house in the countryside, that our characters arrive at, begin to explore, and they find their way into this other world through the wardrobe. Um, the the blending of the everyday and the magical that takes place there is really interesting to see, the way that it takes place through this ordinary, right, house, but it's not the house that they would normally be living in, right? They've already been taken out of their homes, because of, again, something that was happening in the author's own history, that comes out of experiences of his childhood, as well as more recently for him the experiences of the great um, the great war and blitzes, the bombings that took place in London, in England at that time, for the Second World War. So so he draws on that, and throws his characters uh, into this, this place where you keep clothes. What could be more ordinary than that? But when you pull back the, the, the coats that hang there, you find snow falling. You find this lamppost, inexplicably lighting up a patch of snow in the woods. So that kind of scene of the beginning of an adventure, um, again, takes place because of these kinds of interventions, these kinds of changes to an ordinary routine. Um, Now, in that sense, there isn't necessarily just one character who brings that about. It's something that the children among themselves are exploring, and perhaps letting their imaginations run wild with them. Um, it turns out, of course, to be real, as they investigate it further. All right. So, in the case of Harry Potter, the adventure starts with the letter that comes from Hogwarts School, inviting Harry, who has up to that point more or less ordinary childhood, um, with a few uh, distinct exceptions, invites him out into this hidden world of wizards, of magic, of globes and cauldrons and all sorts of magical creatures and this world that has been there the whole time, that he has brushed up against by accident a few times in his early life, um, but which his guardians have been hiding from him, have been sort of keeping out of sight, and even when it comes to their house, they can't accept that it's real. They try to flee from it. So that's a totally different sort of approach to the new adventure, the new idea, the new magical opportunity that's breaking through, going and hiding away from it. So not the ideal one, perhaps. Um, in Madeleine L'Engle's A Wrinkle in Time, the characters again have a brush with the supernatural in the form of a particular new character, Miss Witch, and her her arrival on the dark and stormy night is one of those ways that a traditional, many times retold story is given new life. Um, you can really feel that darkness and that storm outside, and the coziness of the house, being indoors, and then it kind of breaks through in her arrival, um, in her news that it's Meg who is going to go and rescue her father. Now, those kinds of interruptions of the fantastic into the ordinary world, I think we can see them taking place in each of these books. And that might make you wonder, what is behind that pattern? What is behind that sense of something extraordinary that is always there, just out of sight? It's a sense that you might get in other ways too, besides reading, besides watching movies and stories, besides playing video games, even in something as simple as your dreams at night. This was another idea that Tolkien was really interested in, was the ways that dreams bring us in contact with what feels like another world. In his studies of traditional fairy tales, the idea of a world of elves or fairies, of magical creatures being there that we can make contact with at certain times in certain places. This was something that he found in a lot of great fairy tales and folklore. So it's a very, very old idea, one that takes a lot of different forms, and it's my hope that these books will provide that introduction for young readers, for anybody who has that desire for something a little bit out of the ordinary, for something wonderful and something that will make their lives that much more full and enriching. So these are not classes for getting ready for a test or getting through a requirement for school. These are something that is extra, that is for a more enjoyable and a deeper experience of great literature. This is something that we hope will bring together readers who are in all different places around the world, and them to share their experiences with one another. This is something that if we can grow a bit, we might be able to offer um, some courses which would also fulfill requirements for different schools or different institutions. For now, these are things that can be adapted and brought into those existing programs. The last thing that we're hoping to offer, which I haven't talked about yet, so for those who are still with me, this might apply to you. If you have the attention uh, span to have stuck with me through this first session, then you'll probably benefit from the language and literature tutorials that we want to offer for our advanced students. So this is going to be for students who have in mind a research question, a particular book, or a particular source for one of these stories that you want to delve into in really greater detail than what's available out there right now. This is the kind of thing that would really prepare you well for a college level literature class, but something that an advanced student could definitely take advantage of in their junior or senior year of high school, potentially something that you could put on a college application if you think that it would help you stand out from other students and show that you're really serious about studying these popular kinds of authors. So this would involve setting up a group of texts that you'd want to read along with one of our graduate students or professors at Signum University, somebody to guide you and offer some feedback on your research and on your writing as well. The writing component is something that we already offer some help with through what we call the Writer's Forge. That is a service that is offered for the students of Signum University, but is open to anyone. It is a fee-based service, and so in the same way, we would want to be able to pay our teachers for their time in the language tutorial. That could be on some of the sorts of things that Tolkien and Lewis studied and taught. It could be on some of the sources again that stand behind these these popular fantasy series that are more modern, delving into that tradition of folklore and mythology that these authors are drawing on. Now, again, to set up a session around that, to set up a tutorial, just please send us an email and let us know the kind of project that you're interested in working on. We have got a few suggestions listed in our current programs here. Possibly a Germanic languages, so Old English, Old Norse, or Romance language focus, right? So the Latin and Greek side of things with the myths that come from that part of the world. There would be a opportunity then to even possibly present your work in the form of a paper or a presentation, a podcast form, or a live stream. That would be something that could be a great experience for you. So please be in touch if that sounds like something you might be interested in. Now, I'm gonna check back over and see if we got some more comments on Twitch. Another one. There we go. Okay. So please, even if you already sent a question, I would appreciate it if you could resend it through the Twitch chat at this point, because I'm not sure if I can go back and see.
Resend it through the Twitch chat at this point, because I'm not sure if I can go back and resend it through the Twitch chat at this point, because I'm not sure if I can go back and resend it through the Twitch chat at this point, because I'm not sure if I can go back and resend it through the Twitch chat at this point, because I'm not sure if I can go back and resend it through the Twitch chat at this point, because I'm not sure if I can go back and resend it through the Twitch chat at this point, because I'm not sure if I can go back and resend it through the Twitch chat at this point, because I'm not sure if I can go back and resend it through the Twitch chat at this point, because I'm not sure if I can go back and resend it through the Twitch chat at this point, because I'm not sure if I can go back and resend it through the Twitch chat at this point, because I'm not sure if I can go back and resend it through the Twitch chat at this point, because I'm not sure if I can go back and resend it through the Twitch chat at this point.
If that Twitch chat is not behaving for us, again, you can always send in emails through the contacts on the Signum Academy website there. I sure hope that the Twitch stream is not too crazy for you guys. Whatever it's been doing, I hope that it's at least allowing some of this to get through. Now, again, you can always find the past discussions on our YouTube channel, Signum Academy YouTube, and find out more on our webpage through signumuniversity.org/academy. Everything we've been talking about is free and open to the public. Some of these camp materials, activities, and games, just you have to request them, and we'll send you what we've got. The videos and discussions are already recorded and on YouTube. They're free of access at any time. You can pick and choose from those. Can see what portions of the book we're discussing in each one, and follow the ones that you find most interesting. For shorter works that we're going to do in the future, we'll have announcements about those when we're ready to release them. Hopefully before too long here, we will be able to release the first one on Robin Hood. Kind of a reading aloud and activities that go with that. Our next discussion will be on some of the existing fan communities and existing activities that can be traced back to these main authors, Tolkien Lewis, J.K. Rowling, and Madeleine L'Engle. They have, not by their own intentions, but by the popularity of their work, given rise to a whole explosion of fantasy literature. Arguably, there's a few others that we could put up there with them, but these are kind of the start of it all. And so, for anyone who loves this kind of literature, these are some authors that you would want to engage with and get to know. So we're going to look at some of the things that have come out of them, and sort of follow the traces that go back, um, that lead back to The Hobbit, to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And in Harry Potter's case, I think those two authors are some of the sources. Um, Madeleine L'Engle, of course, has a whole wealth of great literature that she draws upon for her story. And so we'll look at some of those next time as well. Um, so thinking about this idea of new beginnings, trying out new things like Twitch, it can be a little bit hectic as we're getting started. Um, but I think that there are some great materials and some great ideas available for you through the Signum Academy. All of that's available for free at your convenience. Um, if you have suggestions and requests for other things that you'd like to see, please send them along. Send us comments, send us questions, and think about for next time some of your first experiences with these books. I'd love to hear from people how they first encountered The Hobbit or the Chronicles of Narnia. Maybe for some people it was through the movies and other adaptations that are more recent. Maybe it was because you were reading something else, and you saw that that author recommended some of the things that inspired them, right? In a lot of cases, authors are proud of telling you where they got their best ideas from, and so they'll sort of point you towards other great books to read. So we'll look at some of those ideas for next time. Um, the stories themselves might be something that an older brother or sister, that a parent or a guardian was reading to you before you even knew what they were talking about, right? Maybe you just have memories of that person who introduced you to the books, that you'd want to share a little bit about. I think that's a really powerful way that these stories can connect people, is through the ways that they get told and retold down through the generations. In some cases, like Harry Potter, maybe it's remains to be seen. We just have to wait and see if it will be a classic of the same caliber, the same kind as the older books here. But it seems like a safe bet that it will have that kind of influence and that kind of impact in the future. So whether you grew up reading these books or are just finding them now for the first time, we want to hear from you about your experiences reading and hearing these stories. Some of the things that might be ideas that you have for your own kinds of responses. The games, the movies, the comics, the plays, right, that people put on that come from these. All of those kinds of activities that surround these books are the kinds of things that we're interested in sharing with other people. All right. So I think that I'm gonna call it a night here, and I look forward to hearing from the listeners out there, sending suggestions, sending in questions, and hear about your goals with these books, your first experiences with them, some of the new things that you are finding in them when you reread them, and some of the new opportunities that they've opened up for you. Um, all of that is what we're hoping to explore together on Signum Academy. Um, if uh, if this hasn't been very clear so far, again, I apologize for the technical difficulties and the looping and the echoing, or whatever is going on with Twitch. We can we can re we can retry if it was really difficult to understand. We can retry it another time. But thanks again for bearing with me, for all of your attention and all of your ideas. Look forward to checking back in. We'll skip 1 week and then we'll be back the third Monday of January. So I think that makes it the 13, 17, 20th. Yeah. So the holiday, celebrating Martin Luther King Day. We will have some time together then. I hope that you are able to do a little bit of reading between now and then, and have a wonderful couple of weeks until next time. All right, so I'm going to attempt now to log off. Take care.